Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about all of the books that I want to read in the month of January, meaning my January TBR. I'm still on a fantasy kick, so a lot of these books are either the first book in the series or a continuing of a series. I have a couple romances in here, but for the most part these are fantasy, which is not a bad thing. Before we go ahead and jump into the video, if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. That way you never miss another one of my videos. And let's talk about the books that I don't necessarily have in front of me. The first one being Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I mean, I am like excruciatingly anticipating this. January 21st cannot come any sooner. I can't wait to read this book. The rest of the month is going to be dedicated to this book because I know it's going to be so good. That is my goal. If I read anything this month, that is the book that I'll be reading. If you didn't know, this is the third book in the Empyrean series, and that's pretty much all I'm going to say about it. I mean, I'm sure everybody has heard of it. If you haven't, you have been living under a rock, but honestly, I am just so friggin' excited. Words cannot express how excited I am to devour that book. The second book or series that I want to start and maybe finish would have to be An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and I've heard really great things about this series. I feel like this series is not talked about enough. Every person that I run into that has read this series has said it's so much better than a lot of other popular series out there, and what interests me most about this author is the way that she writes her characters, the tragic things that happen within her characters. And I've heard that she does have a tendency to make her characters suffer in every story. Sign me up, okay? I want to cry, I want to be emotional, I want to get attached to the characters, I want to get attached to this story. If I start this series, I have a feeling that I will devour it this month, and that's me being very ambitious, seeing as I really don't like to read or dedicate an entire month for just a series. I like to kind of change my palette a little bit and maybe read books 1 and 2, but I don't know, I have a feeling that this series is gonna have me on a chokehold and I will have no choice but to start it and devour it. And honestly, I really don't know what the series is about. All I know is that it says a slave girl and reluctant soldier's intertwined destinies could change the fate of a brutal ancient Roman-inspired empire. I just know that there's a lot of crying, there's a lot of tragic things. The author really doesn't like to give, and I could be wrong, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but the author doesn't really like to give the characters a lot of happy endings. So if there is a series that's going to crush me, I have a feeling this one is, and I can't wait. I am going to buy the box set, and I'm going to get this beautiful special edition that, like, when you put the spines together, they like make this beautiful kind of illustration. So let's move on. I will talk about the next series as soon as I go over these two books, because I've started book 1 of the series, and we'll talk about it. So the next book that I really want to read this month is the last book in the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver, which is Hopeless. For some reason, this is the last book, and I know Elsie Silver can't do any wrong. Like, I love all her books, but I feel like I'm not as excited about this one. I don't know why. It might be life-changing, I might be wrong, but I'm just not excited about Bo and what is the girl's name? I know she's a bartender. Bailey's story. I don't know. Bo Eaton is the town prince, a handsome military hero with a tormented past. I'm the outcast bartender, a shy girl from the wrong side of the tracks. Oh, he's 35 and all man, and I'm 22 and all virgin. Okay, that spices things up a little bit. But anyways, I can't wait. I can't wait to finish this because I do want to start Wild Love soon. And I know that you don't really have to read this series first to get into Wild Love, but I have heard that there's little Easter eggs, and I love me some Easter eggs about these characters in any book that she continues to write. So I have to finish the series. Then I want to finally read Allie Hazelwood's newest release, which is Not in Love. I've heard this is her steamiest. This is her most serious one, but again, she writes in STEM, so she's gonna sprinkle in her STEM-like recipe in there, and I'm excited. A forbidden secret affair proves that all is fair in love and science. This cover is beautiful. This cover almost makes me feel like I should read it in February, you know, the month of romance, the month of love, but I want to read it soon because it looks like it's going to be short, sweet, but I've heard really great things, so I can't wait. In the beginning of this month, I did start Fireborn by Rosaria Mundo. I am almost done with the book. I started this series because I've heard really, really great things. I want to continue my high on dragon books, and I felt like this would be my next bet. This is book 1 in a trilogy. trilogy, and it's called the Aurelian trilogy, and this is described as Fourth Wing meets Game of Thrones. Fourth Wing, I wouldn't necessarily compare it to, because what people say is what you lack in Fourth Wing, meaning political intrigue, world building, magic system, and more politics in general, you will get all of that and more in this series. I will tell you this, I'm on page 284 and I do appreciate this book for what it is, and we're finally starting to pick up. This series, I don't feel like it's gonna be for people that just solely love Fourth Wing, because it's nothing like Fourth Wing. Does it have Game of Thrones elements in it? Yes. Does it have a lot of political intrigue, political drama, backstabbing, loyalties tested? Yes. Okay. Does it have found family? Of course. Does it have amazing dragons and a connection with their dragon riders? Yes. And that's why I love this. This is described as a dystopian high fantasy YA. There is a tiny little bit of romance. We've just touched the surface on that starting on page 200. Okay, so it's not a romantasy, it's more of a high fantasy with a tiny bit of romance. There also might be a little bit of a love triangle in here, but I feel like if you're gonna jump into this series like I did myself, you need to be patient and you need to accept all of the descriptions that Rosario Mundo offers you in this book, because there is a college war, just like Fourth Wing, even though I think this series was written first. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the series was written first. So there is a college war. There are amazing dragons, but they're more like animal-esque dragons with a strong bonded connection with their dragon riders. There is a set of kids leading a war, and there is a lot of political backstabbing, a lot of political intrigue, and it's just so great. The world is great. It's very descriptive, and I'm enjoying it. That's all I'm going to say. Because I started this and I'm almost done, I did go ahead and order, I think it's called Flamefall, and I heard people sob with that book. The second book in this series, sobbed, okay? People just cried their eyes out. They couldn't believe what was happening in the book, and I can't wait. This is more of a slow burn type of fantasy, and I have been patiently waiting for it to pick up, and it finally has, and things are happening and things are moving along, and I'm just biting my nails on the edge of my seat. I feel like this is the month where I will start and finish the series. It's only a trilogy. So far I'm enjoying it. It is dual points of views about two orphans. I don't really want to say much, but I am enjoying it. What you see lacking in Fourth Wing, you will definitely find an enrichment amount of things in this book, if that makes any sense. Orphan friends, dragon rider rivals must choose between love and duty when survivors of the old regime resurface threatening war. Shall I say no more? I am having a great time with this. Then I want to possibly read Heavenly Bodies by Imani Eru. I think that's how you say their name. I'm not sure, but look how beautiful this Fairy Loot edition of this book is. It's so stunning. I don't really know what this is about. I think this is an enemies to lovers romantasy. It has celestial magic, and I've heard really great things so far. You know, the most dangerous kind of villain, a woman with nothing left to lose. In a world ruled by the stars, cruel and merciless gods, Alara has been cursed by fate. A prophecy promises she will fall for a star, but it will kill them both. When the star of wrath and war descends to hunt Alara, the neighboring kingdom sees an opportunity to take her from her home, the kingdom of night, to Halos, the kingdom of light, where she strides straight into the arms of an enemy prince. An enemies to lovers, star-crossed lovers romantasy, I think. Look how pretty. Yeah, I've heard really great things. I can't wait. This is just stunning artwork. Forbidden Love. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. Then I want to start at least the first book in this series, and that is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I have a feeling that this book, as soon as I jump into it, I am going to immediately want to devour the entire series, because I've heard nothing but amazing things about this whole series in general. I haven't heard one bad thing about any of the books. This is described as Bridgerton, but a little bit darker, with Death as the main male character, so maybe morally gray. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the balls and the tea parties and all of the elegancy of what Bridgerton would bring, but then you get the darker elements of a mystery murder happening in the background, and also the male love interest is Death himself. I mean, What? Signa opened her eyes and death was there before her, watching, waiting. His presence was intoxicating and familiar, and it took Signa by surprise as it always did. Writhing shadows cast into the vague shape of a human, so dark and void of light that it was painful to look at him. And yet, looking at him was all Signa could do, all she could ever do. She was drawn to him like a moth to a flame, and so it seemed was he to her. This sounds so like romantic and poetic. Again, one of those series where I know I'm not just gonna stop at book 1. So let's just hope that I have enough time to maybe devour the entire series this month. The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen, and I've heard this is fun. This has trials, I believe, and I think the person chosen is a human who happens to be chosen by Hades. I love anything Hades. She'll fight for her life for the god of death. That's all I know. The gods love to play with us mere mortals, and every 100 years we let them. I have never been favored by the gods, far from it, thanks to Zeus. Living as a cursed office clerk for the Order of Thieves, I just keep my head down and hope the beings who rule from Olympus won't notice me. Not an easy feat, given San Francisco is Zeus's patron city, but I make do. I survive until the night I tangle with a different god, the worst god, Hades. For the first time ever, the ruthless, merciful king of the underworld has entered the crucible, the deadly contest the gods hold to determine a new ruler to sit on the throne of Olympus. But instead of fighting their own battles, the gods name mortals to compete in their stead. So why in the underworld did Hades choose me, a sarcastic nobody with a curse on her shoulders, as his champion? And why does my heart trip every time he says I'm his? Ooh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. I love anything that has Hades in it. I love me some Hades books, okay? And then the last book, this is kind of like a hopeful if I'm trying to read something other than romance and fantasy. Wedding People by Alison Espache. I think this is a literary fiction about a woman going through a divorce, and she kind of pushes herself into somebody else's wedding and pretends she's part of the wedding party, and then meets people along the way. I don't know. A propulsive and uncommonly wise novel about one unexpected wedding guest and the surprising people who help her start anew. This has been sitting on my radar for quite some time. I just haven't had the drive or the craving to read it yet, but I know that once I do, I'm gonna have a great time. I'm gonna enjoy the story for what it is. So there you have it. Those are the books that I plan on reading for the month of January. I hope that I can get through most of these, especially the series that I have started or want to start this month, just because I'm in the mood to read not only fantasy or fantasy romance, but something that just punches me, you know, like with my feelings and emotions. I want to cry, sob, and feel something like I did with Throne of Glass. I want to feel that attached to characters in a book. And I haven't felt like that since Throne of Glass. So I'm like chasing that high again. I'm chasing that feeling again. And I hope that this month I get it. So that's it. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I will catch you on my next one. Bye!